Welcome in, belly up, have a seat, and grab a drink as we talk some Wingman fantasy football. Welcome into another edition of Wingman Fantasy Football, the League Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Furley, and as always, I'd like to thank all of you, or any of you who may be watching or listening to today's show. This is episode 148, a 2025 QB positional preview, and it is my great pleasure to welcome back to the bar, Mr. Bernie, a.k.a. Team B.
I'm Cuban B. Yes, Cuban B.
How are you doing tonight, Bernie?
I am more rested than I was for that last episode.
I know you had a long drive back, and I appreciate you hopping on the line with me, and I appreciate you hopping on the line once again. All right, guys, in this show, we will be breaking down the quarterback position. Sometimes they get drafted later than they could or should, but they give us the most points, so they are very important. Also, while we break down the quarterback position, we will include some new preview segments here as we unveil some old faces going to new places and wing back mountain. And if we have some time, we will get into the mailbag. But before we do any of that, let's make sure that everybody is in the room. Wingmen assemble! All right, now that everyone is here, Bernie, why don't you start us off? Where do you want to go first? Oh, wait, before I do that, actually, I'm sorry. Last year, I realized as we were talking this out that you're like, I have him in my second tier. I'm like, I have him in my seventh. I think we just had different size tiers or just different ways to categorize our players here. So let's just go. How do you break down your players or group them together, whether it be a tier or a style of play?
Well, for this episode, okay. So, when I'm looking at my draft order, I'm looking at all my rankings. I do put them in tiers. I kind of put them in tiers where once that player is gone, once that tier is completely gone, then I kind of move to the next tier, and then within across positions, the tiers also fall within tiers. So there's a lot of crying going on during my draft, if you can't tell. But for the episode, what I did was I just kind of made a general, like the first one we're going to talk about are the elite QB ones. So that's kind of like your tier one. So really, it's not too complicated as far as what I'm going to present today. But it's all about the information within those quarterbacks and then kind of where you want to put them within your own drafting strategy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I think our drafting strategy really dictates
Right.
how these tiers get made up.
So I want to go a little further before we get into the individual quarterbacks here. So we can be on the same page. How many quarterbacks did you rank for today's discussion, just in general?
I think I got about 20 to 24 quarterbacks.
24. And how many? I know you're grouping them a little different, but how many groups and or tiers fill out to that 24th spot, give or take?
I think there's probably between like 5 or 7.
So let's just say 6, and if it's 24, so you got about approximately 4 players per tier. Some might have 3, some might have 5, give or take.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm about the same way. I've got tiers in all shapes and sizes. I'm going to break it. My tier in that same level stops at 26. And that would be just for me to keep on the same level. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tiers gets me to 26. You said about 6 tiers get you to 24. So similar, but I have some tiers that are 6 and 7, and I have some tiers that are as narrow as 2. And of course, this is our first pass through on this, so that these can change a little bit. Just want to give you the range of players. So as small as 2 in what tier for me, and as big as 6 or 7. But again, we're about the same. 6 or 7 tiers to get to our top 25 quarterbacks.
Yeah, and then just a disclaimer for everybody out there listening to our wonderful voices. Double check everything we say based on things happening like hour to hour, day to day with these players in camp and now preseason injuries, things like that. Some of my notes and stuff aren't from today. Some of them are from 2 days ago. So it's kind of just like one of those things. Anything we say, if I didn't catch a mistake or an error, then obviously double check me, leave a comment, let me know to do a better job.
All right. Just on that note there, we are recording this on Thursday evening. It's coming to your ears on Friday morning, just so you can, just double check the timestamps there in terms of what information we have at the time. All right. Why don't you get us started however you want to do it, however you want to do tier one, grouping names. You said elite quarterbacks. You can start wherever you want. Let's get into this.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go with the elite quarterback ones. Let's I don't know. Let's welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the pantheon of fantasy football greatness, the elite QB1. And I've got three people here. The first one is the Jackson Revolution. First we have Lamar Jackson of Baltimore, the clear QB1 last year, and a man who has redefined what it means to be a dual threat quarterback, in my opinion. He emerged as the fantasy king, facing defenses. He had to worry about not just his legs, but they also had to worry about his arm, and not just his arm. He had to worry about Derrick Henry pounding the ball right beside him. So the numbers just don't lie. Jackson put together one of the best statistical seasons from a quarterback in 2024. 41 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, while adding on 915 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground. So I don't think anything is going to change here. While he's breaking these passing records, Henry's doing all the dirty work. So defenses had to commit one way or the other, and they're going to get burnt one way or the other. So I think there's a chance he might even be better this year. With the maturing offensive line, the addition of DeAndre Hopkins, who signed a 1-year contract. Todd Monken's offense has unlocked Jackson's potential, and I think it's just going to get better. It's a scary proposition to see this guy get better and better. You want me to go through the three and then you add some comments? You want to go one by one?
Just give me a second here and we'll get into the next guy just in one moment. Yeah, Jackson had an amazing year last year, and I just happen to remember because we were when I was doing the Golden Wingman Awards, I had his stats up on and top of mind here. Finished with almost 1,000-yard rushing again. He had 915 with over 40 passing touchdowns. I think it was 41.
41. Yep.
Over 4,000 yards again. So definitely, it might be a second best year in terms of passing, but mixing the passing and rushing, I think it was his best year. I think he was actually more deserving of the MVP this year than the other years. I think we had a voter fatigue is why Josh Allen got it, because he won the last one or two. But he definitely had a better statistical year than Josh Allen, who was the MVP last year. So you have him in that elite group, Lamar Jackson. Is he ranked number 1 for you overall in terms of quarterbacks?
Yeah, he is.
Okay. Who else do you have in this? So in my elite group, my tier 1, I wasn't sure. I had 3 like you did, but I kind of bumped 2 guys up into this group. So mine's 5, but it's kind of like a tier 1A and a tier 1B. They might end up splitting up because I'm not sure I'm going to do it at the end here. So who else do you have in this elite group? And so you said you have 3, right?
Yeah.
Why don't you just list off your last 2 before we get into some more stats on these guys? Who else is in your top elite group here?
Okay, so I've got Josh Allen, and then I've got Jalen Hurts.
So these guys are pretty obvious. Actually, Jalen Hurts last year finished as the 9th quarterback. I don't know if it was overall points. I think he missed a game or 2, so that might take a hit off. But he was drafted, I think, 1st and fell 9th. So you're not worried about him, as he was still had a good year. But that's almost Patrick Mahomes style, where you draft in the top 3 and finish out right around that top 10. Are you worried about Jalen Hurts staying down there in that 8-9 range, or you think he can bounce right back up to that 2-3 range? Obviously, you have him rated as 3 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, so I think he can bounce back. I think that they're not going to take any step backs this year. So they could even have a higher pass volume, following, the season that everything, kind of broke in favor of the ground game. So I think he's primed to get that.
So last year, Josh Allen, who was NFL's MVP, last year we were a little concerned because he lost some of his receivers. We thought he might take a step back, similar to what Mahomes did the year prior. But we also mentioned that he was locked in pretty much to be no worse than 4 because of other aspects of his game that are locked in. He had 12 rushing touchdowns last year. He didn't even have a lot of he only had 28 passing touchdowns and like 3,500 passing yards, give or take, maybe 37. But he didn't have an elite passing year. But this guy can always put him in the end zone, similar to Jalen Hurts. When you get those rushing touchdowns that are just so off the category of what a quarterback does. It just makes up for so much of the other deficiencies. Lamar Jackson didn't get a lot of rushing touchdowns, but he had so many rushing yards. That's kind of how they balance out. But he was also elite in terms of passing. But Josh Allen is, no matter, last year just showed me, no matter what you think about his team, he's a top 3 quarterback every time, no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. And, they lost, obviously, Diggs, and they lost Gabe Davis. But Palmer and Coleman are probably going to have to be the step up. And, that's just going to be maybe some more scrambling yards for Josh, maybe some more rushing touchdowns. So I think he'll be okay. He's going to be top 2. He's going to be battling with Lamar for that.
So, like I said, I have 5 guys in this list here, in this top one here, and you can tell me if I'm crazy. Like I said, I'm not. It's not as clear cut. I think the reason they're in here is because I don't trust Hurts as much as I have in the past. I still have him at 3, but it's not like that clear cut where he was like 1-2. Like I said, he's coming off a 9th rated year, so it's kind of like if I put Hurts in that top group, these other guys are just as good, I think. So I either have to move Hurts down or keep these guys up. I've got Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels. Joe Burrow is the only pocket passer in this elite group here. Excuse me. Jaden Daniels, I don't trust as much because I like to see guys do it multiple years. He had a great year last year, obviously, but he's with that rushing upside. He's a guy who can easily get close to that 1,000 yards rushing as a quarterback, similar to Jackson. How far down do you have these guys away from your elite quarterbacks in Burrow and Daniels?
Okay, so I'm gonna give you a little tidbit here. I actually, hold on. So my apologies, guys. I lost some notes. I couldn't have them, so I'm doing a lot of the stuff on my computer to get caught up here. But okay, so my second tier is basically just like you. It's my almost elite QB1 tier. And I've got 3 players. So Jaden Daniels, uh, Joe Burrow is on this, and then I've got a value pick I'll do at the end of this segment of the elite tier here. So I think that Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow both are elite quarterbacks and both should be in that top tier, but I just don't think they're on the team compared to those other 3 that will get them over that hump.
That's true. You're right. Those first 3 quarterbacks are all number 1 seeds, or at least win their divisions over and over and over again. The Commanders came in last year with a great record, but it kind of was out of nowhere. And then Cincinnati, of course, had that awful start to their season, and it got hot at the end, but even they couldn't make the playoffs. So that's a fair tiebreaker. These guys are, like you said, elite to almost elite, but you're going to go with the team game here. Quarterbacks that are on division-winning football teams.
Exactly. And so with Jaden Daniels, though, he I think will stay where he is or take one little step back just because now there's a whole season of tape on him.
Yep.
So it's really going to come down to that one guy that I really like, that is his offensive coordinator, that I talked highly about last year going into it. So we won't say his name out loud, but we'll keep that a secret for my draft.
Okay.
So
I do want to mention while we're breaking up right here real quick here, there's a name that I've noticed is not part of the elite or even almost elite or near elite, however you phrased it. Patrick Mahomes is dropping down here, my man. He is I've got him in that because my first tier is so large at 5. I have him in my second tier at the top of it because there's still a chance he can rebound here. It's like he can't be a 10, 11, just a back end number 1 QB 3 years in a row, Kenny, but you can't trust him anymore. I don't want to talk too much about him here because we're going to save him for later here, but were you surprised that Mahomes is no longer part of your elite or near elite group?
No, I'm not surprised. He's not too far off. He's one or 2 tiers down on it. He's with the group of guys that he's definitely better than, but we're talking fantasy and we're talking fantasy points, so it's not it's not a concern to see his name not at the top when you're talking about something outside of what the NFL does, and what they care about is just winning. So for us, it's a little bit different, but I want to give you my value pick here. Okay.
Yes, please do.
My almost elite quarterback 1 value pick this season is Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I said it. Baker
I thought you
Mayfield.
might have him there. I thought he's actually right behind Mahomes for me. So he's in my second tier, which is so I have him ranked 7th. I feel like he's overperformed that I just didn't want to go too far on the hype, but he's earned himself in that group right next to Mahomes, in my opinion here.
Yeah, exactly. His only concern that I had was last year. He was elite QB1 status when he had both of his starting wide receivers. When he was missing his starting wide receivers, that value drops a little bit. But for where he's going to get drafted, he's going to be an excellent pickup. So,
all right. What's your next kind of group, however you want to phrase it? Why don't you let me know what you got going on here?
oh, sorry. So the next one I've got boomer bust QB1s. So these guys, they can put up the numbers. They will put up the numbers. It's the consistency. It might be scheduling. It might be somebody on that team might be hurt. It might be new to the system. So I've got 4 guys on this list. I've got Patrick Mahomes. I've got Kyler Murray. I've got Justin Fields and Dak Prescott. And Justin Fields is my value pick for this one.
Wow. So those guys are very similar to mine, except I am just below just the way the tiers are broken up. Like I said before, like you could have 4 guys, then 2, and I could have 5 guys, 2, whatever.
Exactly.
So I've got so you said Justin Fields, Murray, Mahomes, and who was the 4th one?
So Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, Dak Prescott.
So I don't know. You said you have your different paperwork. So I don't know if you have them ranked. The way I have my list, I have them ranked right now. So I've got of that group, Mahomes is way up there, but you said he's boom bust. My second highest rated of that group is Justin Fields. Yeah, I'm up there too. I think he's going to have, but there's no backup this year to take his place. We got Tyrod Taylor, who's still the backup for the Jets, but when he gets a chance to play, he gets hurt. So he's not someone who's going to take the job. It's Fields has as long of a leash as he's ever had, whether he's going to take advantage of it or not. I've got Fields in at 11 and Murray at 13. I'm going to mention one player that I have just because it's right between those guys, and I'm going to wonder if you have this guy rated higher or part of this group or lower. I've got Bo Nix right with that Kyler Murray Fields group. Those not necessarily elite passers, but can pass well enough, but definitely have some running game to them. Where do you have Bo Nix and compared to like the Fields Murray group there?
He's just one step below. That's it.
Below. Okay.
So just like you were saying, he could easily just shift up into this one, but I don't think he's as much of a boom bust as the label that I have for the next one is the growth QB.
Gotcha. So of that group, I've got Fields, Nix, Murray back to back, obviously below Mahomes in my group here, as we did it differently. I've got Dak lower because of the lack of rushing upside. So you can see that Fields, Nix, and Murray. Fields has the most rushing upside, but the least passing, and I think it kind of balances out between Nix and Murray there. So that's why I got Dak down a group, only because he lacks that rushing potential, at least as you see it on paper. So what other groups do you have there? We're pretty similar in our style of groupings here, except for just a player here or there. What kind of other group? You said growth is the next group?
Yeah, so players that kind of have had a strong season last season, but you could see that they're on that upward trajectory. But one more note on Prescott, I think he's going to get a pretty big boost in passing with George Pickens being on the team now. So
I don't disagree. You're always nervous with the Cowboys because they seem to have pockets of great and then pockets of awful, and you don't know when you're going to get them. But I do agree. Their running game, one, it wasn't great the last year anyway. I mean, Rico Dowdle ended up with 1,000 yards, but anyway, they lost Dowdle. They brought in Javonte Williams, Williams, who is known for his pass blocking. That's what he is known for. Even the coaches and the training camp speakers, like, he is a really good guy on the field. He's really good at picking up the offense. But they don't say he runs well. They don't say he catches well. They just say he knows where to be. That's what his best attribute is knowing where to be and protecting the passer, which is, so they're not going to look to run because they don't have effective runners, but they've got someone who can help in pass protection. And like you said, with CeeDee Lamb not holding out this time, coming in fresh, and the acquisition of George Pickens gives them a boom an upgrade in terms of their receivers and passing game, and a downgrade in terms of their running game. And their runner actually helps the passing game because that's his strength, is picking up the blitz. So I could see Prescott's one of my, like, I don't know how it's going to go kind of guys. But yeah, I could see him having a better year than the last couple of years if he can stay healthy. Yep. He's in my needs to stay healthy group kind of thing.
Exactly. And that's why I named this category Boomer Bust, because it was one of those, they should be. On paper, this should work out for them. Okay, so then my next one is the growth, upward trajectory. There's 3 value picks that I have here. So these are 5 players: Bo Nix, Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, and Bryce Young. Drake May, Trevor Lawrence, and Bryce Young are my value picks here.
So this is weird. On this particular group, we are all over I'm looking at my list, all over the place. Mm-hmm. So you said Drake May. I've got Drake May in my second tier with Baker and Mahomes. That's how I think May's going to have a huge year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I have him as a value. So I think that even if I agree, he's going to have a much better year than last year. I don't know if he's going to have a huge year, but he's up there. He's going to be at that level with Bo Nix, except Bo Nix is known. Drake May is going to be that dart that you're going to throw.
Right. And then who else did you mention there?
Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, and Bryce Young.
Yeah, I've got Lawrence and Williams and Bryce Young even lower than that. I just don't. I consider them pocket passers that I don't trust, which is like not the type of player I want on my team. If I don't trust them, at least have some legs kind of thing. So me particularly, I had these guys down, but I had Baker Mayfield way down last year. So I'm not saying that makes it right or wrong. I'm just saying I feel like Lawrence more so. We've seen enough. I don't know if there's any more growth. Caleb Williams has room for growth, especially with the improved offensive line. I just hope he wasn't shell-shocked so bad last year that it ruined all of his fundamentals, because he was one of the most sacked quarterbacks, if not the most, I think. And they've definitely addressed that in terms of their offensive line. So hopefully he can break, not get out some bad habits that he might have formed last year. Hopefully they catch it early, because he's got potential. He's got the talent. We just need to see it.
Yep, and that's Ben Johnson bringing his wizardry, so we can see something really happen there, and you could get in on the ground floor of that at a good value. So, and then with as far as Bryce Young goes, I think I think they just needed him to get through the season. And to get through the turmoil of being in Carolina, get through, the back and forth. Because
he was benched. He was benched last year.
Yeah, he was benched, and when he was brought back in, and there wasn't anybody behind him because of Dalton getting hurt. Then he played good. I mean, he wasn't a bad quarterback. So there's potential there.
No, he definitely improved that last quarter of the year. But there's also a lot of tape showing that he's not. Like you said, the growth, he definitely grew last year, but he was coming from the basement. But I like Bryce Young. I don't know yet. I need to see more than 4 games to move him up the list there. But definitely, do you have another category you want to go through here?
Yeah, so we've got matchup dependent QBs. So this one, I might get a little flack in this one. There's some really good quarterbacks on this one, and I don't want to say that I'm putting these quarterbacks necessarily below that last set that I read off. It's just they're very specific. So if you're going to stream quarterbacks, then this might be the grouping that you're going for, because it is very much a matchup dependent for them. And then I've got Justin Herbert, Brock Purdy, I've got Jared Goff, and CJ Stroud, which are 3 very, very good quarterbacks that could put up fantasy points. But for this season, look at the schedule, see what's going on. Check out the wide receivers that are going to be going on in this time. So we'll see. What do you think about those guys?
No, I agree. I would I have of that type of group. I've got Herbert and Goff. Like they're in their own tier for me, but that's the same style of quarterback. I just think they're the best of that group. But another person I would add in that group would be like Jordan Love, for example, because I think he's kind of matchup dependent a little bit. But I will say, I don't have it in front of me. I do the strength of schedules based on fantasy points allowed by a team's defense in the prior year. That's all you can really go by to start with. Yeah. And I'm having the hardest time with quarterbacks because I look back like, all right, did an easy schedule make this quarterback perform well? And it's not the case. It's the craziest thing. Like Burrow had the hardest schedule last year, which is why I had him rated down with like this kind of group, and he overcame. But I do notice that guys who aren't great do need the easy schedule. If you're great, now there's a little debate. Do you consider Burrow great? I think I have to now if he's overcoming the 31st and 32nd hardest schedule and in the top 5 each time he's done it. Matchups don't matter to this guy for a combination of reasons. I'm not saying it's elite talent, or you could say it's elite talent because he's not a rushing quarterback. I find rushing quarterbacks can kind of overcome schedule, but these middle of the road pocket passers seem to, they're the guy. Again, I'm really having a hard time trying to put it into a neat package, but these non-rushing, non-elite, however you want to categorize them. These good to okay quarterbacks need to have a easy schedule. Sam Darnold last year had like the 5th easiest schedule, and he was a top 10 quarterback. The year prior, Jordan Love had the easiest schedule, was a top 5 or 6 quarterback. So I think those are the types of guys that aren't elite enough to overcome tough schedules. A lot of great quarterbacks can overcome tough schedules. So these are the guys that if they're medium good, they're going to need that easy schedule. And I don't have it in front of me where these guys fall. I left it in the other room where these particular guys fall. But I agree. These are the guys that don't have all the attributes. They're going to need. They can't overcome things. They're going to need that easier schedule or matchups, like you said. And I do a season-long matchup, but like you're saying in streaming, and you'll be even more well prepared once we get into week 5, 6, where you can say that is a defense that gives up points to the quarterback. Right now, we're speculating from last year's stats. Once we get into week 4, 5, 6, 7, you're going to have a better idea when these quarterbacks might perform.
Yeah, and just a quick note for Goff, our dominator last year, he's got only 10 indoor games this year.
Last year, it didn't seem to matter where he was playing.
No.
He had some, well, I don't know about stat-wise. His most impressive win was that Green Bay victory outside in the cold. And he had a lot of games where, like, it's dome time, and he didn't put him up as the running game was the big part of their offense last year.
Exactly. And then we'll see what happens the first year without Ben Johnson. That's another thing as well. Yeah. All right. So
yeah, while you mentioned that real quick, let's just stay on Goff here for a half a second here. I have him as my not elite, but once you get past the top 8 or 9 guys, I have him as, I'd say, quasi-elite pocket passer in that group. Above the boom bust running quarterbacks, I think they're good. How much of a hit do you think? I don't know the answer. Well, it's a wait and see. But do you have any kind of idea? The loss of the offensive coordinator, do you think that is a big deal or not in terms of the Lions' offense?
I think it is. I think at the level that they were doing it is. And I currently live in the Atlanta area, and I was here when Shanahan was here and when Shanahan left. And that,
true,
that it was one of those elite minds. I'm not going to put any of the 28-3 loss on all of on Dan Quinn, because I think Dan Quinn's a great coach. But it's one of those things. When he left that next year, it was like, well, what do we do now? So
that's fair. That's actually a great point, because Matt Ryan was good for a lot of his career, man. And then he became an MVP elite with Shanahan, and then quickly went back to at that point he was aging, but still went right back to where he was as that a good quarterback, solid. So now we don't. I mean, Ben Johnson's been I would say Shanahan's had a longer resume, if you will, but Ben Johnson burned really bright. We're going to see how much of it was Ben Johnson or how much of it was the biting kneecaps from Dan Campbell.
Well, and the players, and I think the players, because of Dan Campbell, have that drive still.
Yes.
Amon-Ra still has a chip on his shoulder, so he's still going to do it. Jameis Williams is going to get open because he needs to prove all the haters wrong as well. And he just likes to score because he's the man. He thinks he's the man, and he is the man. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So I think you've gone through most of the players that I find worthy of talking about here. There's a couple. I don't know if they're going to fall into any neat category. I'm just going to bring them up because they're in the top 20 here that we haven't mentioned yet. So we mentioned Jordan Love, kind of small, quickly there. But Tua, I have Tua in the group with Jordan Love and CJ Stroud, that kind of streaming style quarterback. I think he's good. It's about his health. Do you where do you have him, and how much of it is related to health or just a scouting on him and as a quarterback in general? Pardon me.
Well, yeah, Tua is in category that I have that is basically high floor, bye week, injury, emergency QB2. It's one of those, like, it's kind of like a mishmash of you're gonna be able to get this guy, but he shouldn't be your first quarterback off of the board kind of deal. And
Gotcha.
he's up there with the likes of Smith, Stafford, Darnold, Rogers, Wilson, those kind of guys.
All right. Well, while you're bringing up some of those guys, why don't we break this down into a little more of a specific style here? We're going to have a little bit of a sub segment here called Old Faces, New Places. I don't have the graphic up yet, so we're going to do this live. You guys are going to enjoy this. Wingman Fantasy Football.
Welcome to the team, Grandpa.
Who are you? Where am I? Old Faces, New Places. All right, so we got some old guys to talk about here, and they are switching teams. I'm just gonna run them off real quick, and then you can decide how you want to talk about them. We got Aaron Rodgers going from the Jets to Pittsburgh. We've got Russell Wilson leaving Pittsburgh, heading to the New York Giants. And we have a couple players who almost not traded spots. We have Geno Smith leaving Seattle, heading to Vegas, and replacing Geno Smith is Sam Darnold. These are our old faces, new places. We got Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Sam Darnold, and Geno Smith. You don't have to talk about all of them unless you want to, of course, but where do you want to start with this group of old faces?
I'm going to go straight to the guy that I think is actually going to do some damage. It's a new place, but he's reuniting with an old coach, and that's Geno Smith. I think we're going to see big improvement in him due to his new offensive teammates, the game planning. I think that I wouldn't be surprised if he's a low QB1 level when it's all said and done. So I think he's played his best ball in Seattle, but I think he's got a lot of his best ball left in him, especially going back to his coach.
Yeah, I don't know what they have to offer the Vegas in terms of their offense, but being that they went out and got him and paid him, and he's going to a coach that's had him before, I don't know if that's just a comfortability thing or Carroll really, he overperformed his whole career in Seattle with Carroll that first couple years. And even last year, in the last couple of years, he's been a little up and down, but he's really been a very playable fantasy quarterback.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah. He runs just enough. He's a good play action passer. Well, let's just, between these two guys, since one's leaving the team and one's taking his place, I know the teams have changed a little bit. How would you compare Sam Darnold versus Geno Smith against each other where they are now? And how would you compare what Sam Darnold might do in Seattle compared to what Geno Smith had done in Seattle?
So I think that I think that you're going to see a lot more floor games from Darnold. I think that it's.
You mean higher floor games for Darnold?
More floor games. I should say more floor games.
Okay.
Like he's not necessarily going to tear up the stat sheet like he was doing. I think Seattle being not in the dome, it's just a different environment from what he was just doing and producing at. And I think that my man Kenneth Walker III is going to have a spectacular season, and I think they're going to lean on him and Charbonnet. So Darnold doesn't have to do too much. And I'm not taking anything away from Darnold. I'm thinking that they're going to say, okay, let's game manage, but we just happen to have two running backs that we want to get going early. Now, what the timing is going to look like with the beast over there, DK, I don't know.
Well, no, DK's with Pittsburgh now.
Oh, that's right.
They did bring in Cooper Kupp. They did bring in Cooper Kupp to Seattle.
So I'm not high on Darnold. I'm more high on their running game.
I agree. It's hard to say. Well, first of all, these two guys are interesting in a couple ways, as one's replacing the other in terms of the team they're on now. Two, they both were drafted high by the Jets and arguably you could say failed with the Jets and have done better since they've left that situation. But Sam Darnold played so well last year. So I don't want to say it was a lucky year, But I could see this pumpkin, I'm going to mess up this phrase here. Cinderella's midnight and the coach is turning back into a pumpkin.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I do. I see that, but I don't see it being like bad. It's just not fantasy football, high draft pick, starting quarterback one material at this moment in time. I would put him, he's probably going to get drafted a little bit higher, and some of these other value quarterbacks probably going to end up finishing higher than him.
So a little bit of a segue here. You mentioned that you thought Darnold had to get his timing with DK Metcalf, but we do have another old face quarterback who will have to get his timing down with DK Metcalf. Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh, not getting paid hardly anything, taking a backup quarterback price tag of about $12 million or so, and so the Pittsburgh Steelers will always find a value. They'll deal with his shenanigans. Since we mentioned Russell Wilson here and other guys who are following each other, do you think Aaron Rodgers is an upgrade over Russell Wilson in terms of how they'll fit in with Pittsburgh?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I think that Aaron Rodgers would probably have played better on the Giants, and Russell probably would have played better staying in Pittsburgh. And that's just that there's no substantiation. That's just kind of a gut feeling. I'm not high on Rodgers. Rodgers may be high, but I'm not high on Rodgers. I would lean more on Russell Wilson if I had to pick out of those two to sit on my bench. Not to take anything away from what Rodgers has done, but it's what have you done for me lately kind of dealing with fantasy football, and I'm not buying him just for his name.
That's interesting. I think I'd have Rodgers rated higher as a quarterback, although there's warts all over these guys. But the tiebreaker for sure, I actually have Rodgers way ahead in terms of just ranking, and the majority of this is because I don't know how long Russell Wilson's going to keep that job. They drafted a first-round quarterback in Jackson Dart. You've got your man, Jameis Winston, also there. So I could see that being a little bit of a carousel in terms of quarterback if Wilson is not amazing, and there's no reason to think he'll be amazing. I think Aaron Rodgers has to deal with age, of course, but I don't think there's any kind of backup or young guy they're going to try and put in if he starts to falter a bit.
Okay, so here's my tiebreaker for that same situation.
Sure.
Who's Aaron Rodgers going to be throwing to if he's the starting quarterback?
DK Metcalf.
Right. Okay, we both know Rodgers' personality. We both know DK Metcalf's personality. They're both elite players in their own ranks.
They're going to say elite powders. Okay.
Who's Russell Wilson going to be throwing to if he's in the game starting?
Oh, I know.
Won't you be my neighbor?
Young.
Malik Neighbors, yeah.
Young, eager to win on the practice field. I bet they're probably practicing their timing. I think Russell Wilson has more of an advantage with that receiver than Rodgers does with DK, even though DK is a beast and Rodgers has got an arm. Russell throws these dimes to these receivers sometimes that you just look at and go, how in the world did that short guy get it down the field? How did he see that? Like, he threw him open and the timing was impeccable. I think him and Neighbors could have a great season. And I'm not going to be drafting them as a stack by any means, but to beat the Wilson, to pick one out of Wilson and Rodgers, I think Wilson has the advantage for me just because of that.
That's fair. Those are good points. You're right that the elite receiver is a fair way to tie break there for sure. So that's fine with me. I did the quick ranking. That's where I had them.
I just see two old guys bumping heads, looking at each other like, why did you throw it there? Why were you running there? As opposed to Wilson and Neighbors having a little bit more respect for his elder statesman going, hey man, what can we do to make that work? As opposed to, hey, you weren't there and I was,
This might be I'm pretty hard-headed, Bernie, but this might be a first. You've convinced me here. I think Russell Wilson might be the way to go here. All your points are right on. I'm definitely going to, these guys are not drafted, you're not aiming to draft these guys. These are desperation plays like, oh crap, I need a backup, hopefully not a starter. But nonetheless, they're going to be streaming guys at some point. And I don't disagree with any of the points you made. Very well done there. And while we're talking about old guys, this guy is not in a new place, but he is turning old fast. Matthew Stafford, Mr. I'll practice next week. 3 weeks in a row now it's been. This guy can't get on the field. I'm getting nervous. Before I ask your opinion, last year, when I was concerned about ranking people like Puka Nakua and Cooper Kupp, I was like, the only reason I'm afraid of these guys is because of the quarterback. And those guys got hurt, and Stafford played the whole year for the most part, but this is not looking good. Stafford is not even getting on the field. The coach, McVay, is talking like, when we get him, but we're not really planning on having him. At least that's the way I'm reading in between the lines. It's like, we'd love to have him, of course, but we can't wait. We got to practice with who we have. So what do you think about Stafford if he was healthy? Because at this point, he's still an older quarterback. How do you think if he's healthy? Are you concerned that he'll even be healthy?
That's a concern for me all around. If he's healthy, though, I'm not going to take anything away from Stafford. Stafford is a beast. He's an animal. He plays through everything, and he plays at a high level through some of those things. So I'm not going to take anything away, but I will default again to Devontae Adams. It's an improving in the wide receiver core, but is Devontae going to be hurt until he gets traded to Pittsburgh? Is he going, again, it's an old guy that just doesn't seem to want to fit. So who's he getting reps from? Is he getting reps from Stafford? Is he, what's going on there? And I don't know enough information about what's going on in their training camps or what's going on in their preseason stuff to make a good assessment on that. But I like Stafford if he's healthy and he's a go. But I probably wouldn't start him. I would start Geno over Stafford. I would start, if Tua is on the field, I'd start Tua over Stafford. I would question Darnold, question Rodgers, and question Wilson over Stafford.
Those are all fair points there. I will say this: if Stafford is not able to play, at least in the first half of the season, that'll put. We don't want to talk about receivers too much, as we'll do that later in the cycle here.
Yeah.
But if Devontae Adams has to play with Garoppolo again, last year that's where he was last year, matched up with Garoppolo, and or was it 2 years ago? Either way, he played with him recently with the Raiders, and he will look to get traded if he's playing with the Garoppolo. He's like, I came here to lead this guy, and then you sign him afterwards, and I got to play with this joker again.
Yeah, I mean, wrist injury until the private jet lands in Pittsburgh.
There you go. There you go. All right, another sub-segment here is we're going to call this Wing Back Mountain. These are guys just can't quit. And these are players that we've had on our team multiple years, either 2 years in a row, 3 out of 4, 3 out of 5 years, something like that. We don't play in keeper leagues, so these are redraft leagues. If we have these guys, we're going out of our way to get them, it seems. So let's start with, who do you think are players that, and we're gonna pose this like this: these are guys that we haven't been able to quit, or like I said, fall in this category as having multiple times in a short period of time. Are we ready or able to quit them now is the question. Who do you think are people that I have to consider quitting on the quarterback wingback mountain?
Well, both of these quarterbacks are in both of my groupings. So they're both boom bust QBs in my eyes. But that would be Patrick Mahomes and Kyler Murray. I'm more, you know what? Let me put Kyler Murray ahead of Patrick Mahomes. I think it's Kyler Murray and Patrick Mahomes. For you, what is your plan? Is your plan going to be a early third, fourth, fifth round QB, or is it going to be a later fourth, fifth, sixth round QB?
Well, I'll phrase it like this: I've had Mahomes on my team the last 2 years because I wanted an elite quarterback. I did not get an elite quarterback.
Nope.
So that the reason I got him is I thought he was, because he came off one lower year. I was like, I'm going to get him on the bounce back. Oh, it didn't quite happen. Well, now he's going to bounce back double high. Didn't happen. So in terms of the elite quarterback, I've already rated him out of that. So in that term, I am quitting Mahomes, but he still has potential. Like you said, boom bust. And I don't look at him as boom bust game to game. He's a boom bust season. He's either going to have it or he's not. And he's dropping on everyone's board. So I'm willing to take him again, but at that, I don't know, 6th, 7th round kind of thing. He's definitely not going to be a 3rd, 4th round pick. I've taken the last 2 times early. I could have had Josh Allen both. I picked Mahomes ahead of Josh Allen twice because I have that sunk cost fallacy. We're like, well, he's going to rebound this time for me, double or nothing. And it did not happen. So I'm not quitting him in terms of altogether. I'm quitting him in terms of his rank. And, so he could be a draft day value the way I look at it if he falls the 7th round. Because that'll be fine, but I'm not targeting him in that group of elite quarterbacks.
I don't think you're going to get him that late. I think that with Hollywood Brown, Xavier Worthy, and Rashee Rice in that wide receiver room. If 2 of them can stay healthy, that would be good. If 3 of them can stay healthy, that would be great. And I think that Patrick Mahomes is just going to be like, you know what? This is the year where I'm just going to start sending it downfield. There's 3 very, very fast receivers on that team.
I don't disagree. Like I said, it's a half quit. It's a quit unless he's just so cheap I can get him. The other guy, Kyler Murray, the reason I keep getting him on my team because he is cheap. He is not respected. Yeah. He falls down to that 7th, 8th round. Depends on where he's the 9th quarterback taken or later all the time. It's usually the hotness jumps in front of him. Those C.J. Strouds, the Jordan Loves. But Murray is just as good as those guys, if not better, with the running game. He is inconsistent as he was a nominee for the roller coaster award. But I think he's just as even as those streamer guys, if not better. But he never jumps ahead of people in terms of preseason ranking. It's always the guy who Bo Nix is going to go ahead of Kyler Murray, for example. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but he's going to fall in that 9 to 12 range, and it's going to be a new guy in that 6, 7, 8 range. That's why I keep getting Murray, because of the value, not so much I target him as a value. I don't target him as an elite quarterback or a starter. I target him as a backup. Yeah. And I will say this, though, with Mahomes last year, the good thing about having a player with a big name, even if they underperform, I was able to trade him, get rid of him. He has that cachet in terms of name value. You can trade him as a top 5 quarterback, even though he's in a top 10. So if you try and get a Dak Prescott who might be just as good as Mahomes has more trade value. At least he had. Now it's been 2 years in a row with him underperforming, so maybe he's falling into that lower tier in terms of name cachet. But in years prior, even though he might not perform as well as you'd hope, he still has a little bit of value in the trade market.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Murray, out of those 2, Murray has the bigger potential to have the biggest hit. He's got the higher floor because of his running. But you just can't count. You can't count on Mahomes to be there every game, because they're going to just win games. That's what they're there to do.
So there's a guy on this list here that, sorry about that. There's a guy on this list that catches my attention of someone I think that you have a hard time quitting, and we're going to find out if you can kick the habit or not. You haven't had him on your team that often. You did have him at least once or twice, but you can't stop talking about him. He's on a new team, maybe the starter. Anthony Richardson has a finger injury, and it looks like there's a chance Daniel Jones might be starting for the Colts. Let me know, can you quit Daniel Jones, or is the fire been reignited as he has a chance to be the starting quarterback?
As long as Anthony Richardson is on that team, there's always a chance, man. He could still beat him out and be the QB1 at the beginning of the season. That's probably not going to happen because they want to sell tickets. But we'll see, man. Everything's pointing for Richardson right now, but I might, with the last pick of the draft, pick up Daniel Jones because he'll be there. I don't know. It's hard to quit him because I like him. He's got good work ethic. He does know how to throw the ball properly, and he can run over people. He's a big guy. I know you like to laugh at his running style, because his upper body gets ahead of his lower body sometimes. But that's okay if he's at the goal line. I don't know. There's just something about him that I like. And I don't know what it is. Most of my quarterback play was streaming for a few seasons, so maybe that was it. It was just a good quarterback to stream.
It's those deep brown eyes that look like they're staring into headlights. I'm just playing.
No, it's the white t-shirt and khaki pants, with the JanSport backpack showing up. He's just no flair. He's just there to do business, man. You
are right, though, that even if Richardson does win the job, there's no guarantee he's going to stay healthy throughout any portion of the season. Daniel Jones is going to get at least 4 starts this year, if not 12.
Yeah, exactly. And when was Daniel Jones good? Who was Daniel Jones's running back when he was good?
Well, we had Barkley the year and a half where he was good, of course, and Jonathan Taylor is I think just as good, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly. So he's got some weapons on that team. He just got to stay upright, and just when he gets his chance, just produce, man. He'll be on my team at least for a couple of weeks.
Okay, very good, very good. All right, I think that's a pretty healthy dose of quarterbacks. They fall into different categories for different reasons. We got some old faces, new places. That's fun. And our wingback mountain, we'll keep these going for our next positions as well. Hopefully we'll get some graphics going, although it was fun to do that as a live read. All right, guys. So I think we have a little bit of time here, not too much, but enough time to take a deep dive into our mailbag.
You've got mail.
You've got mail. Wingman Fantasy Football. Mailbag!
All right, I've got at least 2 entries in the mailbag here. I've got this first one comes in from Michael J. Thanks for leaving a comment on our YouTube channel. He's got one here that says, hey, Wingman, after seeing the Golden Wingman Awards, it is clear that Baker Mayfield deserved at least one award. Not only was he a draft day value, not only was he one of the top-rated QBs, but he actually surpassed Jalen Hurts and made Hurts the backup quarterback down the home stretch. So not only was he good for where he was, but he surpassed one of the elite quarterbacks in terms of fantasy. We mentioned it last time that it was hard to keep him off the nomination list, but not only should he have been nominated, he should have won an award. What do you think about Baker Mayfield deserving any one of those awards of the Golden Wingman Awards?
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. But that's how awards go. You know, everybody on the nomination list should win, could win, might have won, but they didn't. And it's just the way it goes. You know, somebody's got to come away with it. He'll get it next year because he's going to be it. He might get the most improved, but not really improved because he did just as good last year and a little bit better this year. I don't know.
Yeah, I think he won't have a chance for that draft day value. You have him up there with your near elite quarterbacks or elite. I forget where you had him. You had him as your top 5 or 6 guy right there. So, and I have him a 7 as well. So he's not going to fall down as far in the drafts this time. So, but he has a chance to be an MVP, a postseason MVP. We'll see if he can duplicate last year. He was great, and he's a tough guy. His running game last year is what helped him out. He added a lot more yards on the rushing game, and most of those were for first downs, diving headfirst into a big guy's belly.
Yeah. You know what? He might just have, we might make a new award for him that's just the quarterback that doesn't take anything from the defensive backs. He'll run up to them and he will say something. So.
All right, we got another entry here in the mailbag. Excuse me, this one comes in from Andrew F., also referring to the Golden Wingman Awards. He's like, where's Chuba Hubbard? He should be free agent pickup of the year. And I actually responded to this one in real time here, and I said, well, he can't be free agent of the year. He was actually drafted. He was picked up on Andrew F.'s team via free agency, but he was drafted prior to that. And then he responded quickly, well, then he should be draft day value of the year. Chuba Hubbard was great. He should either be free agent of the year or draft day value of the year or both, as he was able to dominate both categories. What do you have on whether or not he should have been nominated for either of those awards? There's no doubt Chuba Hubbard had a great year last year.
Yeah, he had a great year. He would only be draft day value if he stayed on that team and helped that team win that he was drafted on. So I don't think he could get that. Or traded, you know, but if he's coming out of the free agent pool, the waiver, I don't think he gets that. I'm okay with him getting something, but it's the same thing as Baker. It's like, yeah, you're good, but the guy that got the award was just as good and a little bit better than you. So maybe we make a Chuba Mayfield award for next year, and we just give it to the random guy that just did good but couldn't get into any of the categories.
All right, I like that. Well, we did give some love last time to Baker Mayfield. We did not mention Chuba Hubbard, but he does deserve some mentioning as some sort of honorable mention. He kind of fell through the cracks, like I said, based on how his season went in terms of roster. Our managers had him on their rosters. But thank you for the letters, you guys, both Michael J. and Andrew F., both fair assessments. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys liked the award show last time. All right, we're going to get out of here pretty soon. Bernie, is there anything you want to add before we get to our little sign-off here?
Yeah, so let us know what you guys think is the wingback mountain player for one of the teams, one of the managers in our league. Leave a comment, or your own team. Who do you always have on your team that you might have again this year, or that you're going to have a divorce from this year, and you're going to leave him on the mountain this year by himself? without any food.
I
or
will say,
close.
as we get into the other positions, receiver and running back, we're going to have a lot stronger opinions on some of these guys because we've had these same guys over and over and over again. So they're definitely going to be a lot stronger ties than we did to these quarterbacks.
Julio.
All right, guys. With that, I want to thank you all so much for watching and/or listening to Wingman Fantasy Football, the League podcast. You can find, I got some big news here, guys. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, YouTube Music, Amazon Music. We are now on Audacy and iHeartRadio. That's right. We're anywhere you want to find us. And if you find us on those things, just search Wingman the League. And while you're there, leave a 5-star rating. Let us know how we're doing. Only if you think we're doing 5 stars. If you think we're worse than that, keep your mouth shut. Either way, if you want to also watch us, you can find us on our YouTube channel at wingmanfantasyfootball.com/YouTube. If you head over there, do me the favor, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and go ahead and leave a comment, and we'll get you into our next mailbag segment. With that being said, may your glasses be full, your mugs stay frosty.
And keep your quarterback upright if you want to win a football game.
There you go, guys. All right, we will see you next time.